Hey, everybody, it's Skip, and he's Hunter Lisle from the Arthur Murray Dance Studio. It is the Dancing with the Stars review, season 30, week 5.
Oh my gosh, 5 weeks. Can you believe it's been 5 weeks? And we've been doing this for 5 weeks. And everybody's still watching, which is really cool. That's exciting. They're watching us, not the show we want them to watch, but they're actually still watching us too, which is pretty crazy. But we're grateful for however many viewers we have. It's kind of
This
fun.
week, Grease was the word, and Olivia Newton-John was on the show for a little while. That was pretty cool. She came in, zoomed in like we're doing right now, and talked about some of the songs in the show and how it was special to her. And Dee Dee Cohn came in. She played Frenchie and talked about a couple of the things that she had done.
That was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
Because we talked about it off the air. There were some unusual activities that she talked about, but we'll keep it clean on the show. But there were some fun people on that. I think seeing her, I'll try to say that again. Hearing her voice when she sings is hilarious, is really great. Yep. So yeah, tonight's gonna be the night where my words just don't come out. It'll be very interesting.
I think this year they've done some of the dances a bunch of times in the same show. Like today there were or yesterday there were a bunch of Viennese waltzes.
There
were. I don't think
right?
I've seen it like that in the past.
No, they've done a lot more like repetition this year than ever before. But it is kind of nice in one sense that you get to see the same dance. So you see the people competing, and it really brings out the technical aspects of that. So it's kind of fun in that sense because you're letting them compete on the same playing field, sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
I had to start my clock, so I know what we're doing. Let's get to the dances. Social media star Olivia Jade started the night with Val. They did a foxtrot to Summer Nights. I thought it was a great starting routine. Nice dance, not as big as they've done in the past, but it was a pretty good one. Good use of the floor. And Len said it was full of fun and entertaining. Derek said she was a perfect Sandy. Great frame.
Great frame, and she had some non-foxtrot interludes in there that were a little bit different at this, week number 5, but she did a phenomenal job. Frame was great. You're trying to hold your frame in a certain way while you're moving and doing the character of the dance, and she actually did that. So 36 out of 40, great score. Week number 5, very respectable, actually.
That's 9s across the board, which is pretty good. But find out what happened a little bit later on. Melora Hardin from The Office did a Viennese waltz with Artem. That was a nice waltz. I thought it wasn't supposed to be so happy, though.
No, she was
waltz is not as happy as they did.
She was almost sassy, like happy sassy. It was really, she let her personality come out, which was good, but it was almost a little bit all over the place. So 36, still a great score. Could have been a little more officially Viennese waltz, maybe. But still, with that said, I'm glad she's still in it because I like her as a comedian, and I hope she goes a little further.
Bruno said she put a little bump and grind in the waltz.
She did. She had characteristics of the waltz that you just normally would not see in this category.
Amanda Klutz was up with Alan did a Viennese waltz, and Dee Dee Cohn played Frenchie in the movie. She was not at the practice. She came in, zoomed in and talked to him about the dance, and Frankie Avalon showed up and sang Beauty School Dropout live.
Yeah,
awesome.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see the real person sing it. I think the pace of his song threw them a little bit, just slightly, but they handled that very well because to a live singer, that's always a challenge. So they kind of rose to that challenge a little bit. Very good dancer. Her extensions in the legs were just amazing. In fact, her extensions were phenomenal, actually. So, up until now, there's been a little bit of a disconnect in her performance with the partner, and that was pretty much eliminated this time. So you saw the emotional depth with the skill, which is really fantastic.
I think Len said it was overall was great. Derek said good leg extension. She put that leg up.
Yep, she did. That's the first thing you noticed. I was like, wow, that was much better, actually.
They got a 39 out of 40, which was a pretty darn good score. Now, the person who continues to bust out, Suni Lee, had another good Charleston with Sasha, Born to Hand Jive. I thought this was going to be the dance of the night. I thought it was until I saw one a little bit later on. But Suni is coming out of her shell. I got to say, this is her best dance by far so far.
I think so. Like you said, it's hard to be a gymnast and to do what they're doing. And she's really struggled with that since day one and done very well. I mean, she's made it to week 5. That song is so much fun. It takes so much energy. that she had a lot of attitude for it, which was good. Gray Charleston, they limited the gymnastics a little bit for this particular routine, which is kind of good because week number 5, you want to see some dancing, some real dancing out there, some skills. And she did do that. So I kind of thought she would get a 38. She got a 36, so I was a little bit off on that, but still a very good score for week 5.
I think part of it was because what Carrie Ann said was when you're in the balloons rolling around, we want to see what's going on. Do
That's
more of
what I
that.
mean. You want to see the dancing. And if you don't see the dancing, you're going to score it a little bit lower. I think it's exactly what happened.
Next up was Kenya Moore from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Did a rumba. It was a good rumba with Brandon. It was a nice rumba, good use of the hold, nice stops. The leg lift lacked a little bit to me, I thought.
It did. Her skills were not, I mean, even during the rehearsal, he is still coaching her through every movement. And there's nothing wrong with that, but at this point, there should be a little more on your own. And as a judge, you're watching the female singer, partner with that's not the pro, thinking, okay, can they move on their own? And there was some of that where you're definitely being helped along. So that's why I think the 36, otherwise it could have been a 38. It was very nice. It was very fluid, actually. So given what it was. So it wasn't my favorite dance, but it was very, very nice.
But Carrie Ann said she's happy she's still here so she could do that dance, because in the other ones, if you remember looking back, the past couple of weeks have not been great for her at all. But this dance was the one she really wanted to do.
That's right. She wanted to get to this point and she did it. So we really wondered if she would be out by now, because week 5 and 6, you start to see people fall away because the real dancing comes out.
Next up was the dance of the night. JoJo Siwa and Jenna did a foxtrot to Look at Me, I'm Sandra D. And I think this is the other one that Dee Dee showed up on.
Yeah.
And I think it was the dance of the night.
It was.
Everything on this. Len said it affected his brain with the quality of the technique. It affected his heart with the artistry. Derek said the opening turn was stellar, pristine, and a moment. And I just think it was the best. I did not like the pairing of them to begin with, but this dance, home run.
It was
home run. And
they grabbed you right from the beginning. That spin, the original turn, they grabbed you and then you just held you right there. And they kept it going. They didn't lose momentum. They stayed here and they just stayed there. And that was really unusual. I think it was the dance of the night and the first perfect score. And I thought that's pretty exciting. That's pretty impressive.
Next up, Spice Girl Mel C, Sporty Spice. She was with Gleb. They did a quick step to You're the One That I Want, which I love from that movie. Yeah. Nice open, good quick step. But I think what hurt her was they turned the song down. The beats on the song was slow, and that hurt that dance.
It hurt it a lot. You hit it on the head. It killed the momentum. They had the momentum going, and it just went flat. And I think that's exactly what happened. Because when that changes a variable like that, it throws you off. You got to be a pro to not have something like that really throw you. And it did. And it was very visible. And I'm surprised the score actually wasn't lower given that. But they gave her 36, still respectable. But I was hoping, I don't know, we were all hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did. So yeah, it killed the momentum.
Bruno had a good comment. It takes a lot of guts to do anything, especially a quick step in Lycra.
Boy, that is if you remember a few years ago in Dancing with the Lexington Stars, there was one of our celebrities who was doing a very fast dance. And as he did a split, the pants went and they split. And this was live on TV for the charity event. I won't mention who it was, but we all were just stunned. We're like, but to his credit, they kept going and they danced till the end, which was mind-bogglingly, but it definitely made an impact. So when you wear something really tight, you've got to be aware that some things can happen. And good or bad, it can be interesting.
Did they win?
No, but
now why not?
Well, it was, and to be honest with you, we were on the podium and they were in the far corner and we didn't see it right away. And all of a sudden it was like everybody looked that direction. And there was somebody that posted a video later on Facebook and we're like, oh, but the person handled it very well. And it was definitely an accident, but oh my goodness, it was something else.
I want to talk about, this is Dancing with the Stars, season 30, week number 5. It's Grease week. I don't know what's happening next week. I don't think they said what was happening.
No, they kept it a little bit under wraps, although Halloween is here. So we always love Halloween week and Halloween month because they started getting some pretty cool costumes. So it's going to be fun to see where that goes. I know Carrie Ann's already been posting costumes from the past, and some of them were just phenomenal. So yeah. I like when I see that part of the season come up.
Let's talk about some of the other dancers. I think Cody Rigsby and Cheryl, they did a quick step to We Go Together. I don't know. I think they've lost it, to be honest. I
think
love
so, too.
Cheryl to death, but those 2 weeks away with COVID that they couldn't dance together have really hurt them. And I think the judges are giving them false high scores, to be honest.
Yeah, it was really weak on this one. It was probably the weakest one. They need to work a little bit more. He needs to go a little bit lower in his knees, and he needs to be able to have some flex. And he's kind of got it with his height. You know, he's got the I'm performing, I'm doing this now, but there's no variability. It's just one thing. It's very flat, and it makes for a performance, but you're only seeing one thing. It's very one-dimensional, and he really needs to flex in his knees and learn to move. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. I think a 32 was a very high score given the quality of the dance.
Yeah, and I was surprised that they didn't get voted off, to be honest. I think it was a little bit of a high score for them. Iman Shumpert has increased his stuff every week. I don't think he came up as much as he usually did. He and Daniela did a Viennese waltz to Hopelessly Devoted to You. I thought it was a nice opening, a great twist, great coordination, nice holds. He does keep improving, but I think he may have taken a little bit of a step back.
I think so too. And it's hard because the height difference, I mean, that's very tricky to deal with at this point. And especially by week number 5, if you have a height difference, if you're really good, it shows what you do really well, but it also shows every single error more quickly. And we saw that a lot. And I think that's going to be hard for him to come back from. Maybe one more week, but I'm not so sure.
You were talking about when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was on the show a few years ago. Yeah. That was even harder for him because he's like 7'2".
We were there that season, and he is very, very tall. But he did okay. But gosh, it was just tough for him, and he kind of bowed out. He did really well actually for a few weeks, but then that was pretty much it. And so any of the basketball players that are super tall, it's hard on them because I mean you've got to flex and you got to move, and any errors you can't help but see it. If you're shorter, you get to hide the errors a little more for a while. So it's hard on the basketball players.
I forget what who said it, but somebody said, "Well, your hips are at his knees."
Yeah.
Which when they were dancing, you could tell that, but that's rough, and I think they need to get a little height difference taken care of, but that's part of the competition, definitely.
It is. It's all part of it. So they got 28.
Mike the Miz Mizanin did a jive to Greased Lightning along with Whitney. It was a good routine, some good tricks, but I really it didn't stand out for me at all.
No, me either. It really was more like they had some enthusiasm, but it kind of got very chaotic the more you watch. And it was a lot of chaos out there, not a lot of continuity, not a lot of congruity. Well, this is my
congruity.
Thank you. Get the words out of my mouth.
We're making words up as we go along, ladies and gentlemen.
Here it comes. But you couldn't see that when they were dancing. You just couldn't see it this time. So they definitely got a score. I think it was a little high and a little inflated as well.
Yeah, they got a 32 out of 40. Jimmy Allen, I think, is in the same rut that Iman is. I don't think he's moving his hips as good. It was a good foxtrot with Emma.
Yeah,
great tricks, nice dance, good syncopation, and a nice opening. But I think he needs to move his hips more.
He needs to move a lot more. I think it just, the lip syncing thing, I think took away from it. And I think it's very hard to focus on two things at once. And if you're trying to move your mouth through the whole thing while you're doing it, I mean, it just doesn't, it's hard to do. So I think it took away from the focus on the dancing a little bit. So I got a 34. Thought it was a very high score, actually. I would have bet that one is a 32, and at least, maybe even a 30. But they got a little high score on that one. So I would have voted that a little differently.
My dance of the night was undoubtedly JoJo Siwa and Jenna's dance.
Really?
That was a straight flat 10, and it was awesome.
Yeah. And then we had somebody eliminated. We had to let someone go, unfortunately. Darn it.
It was Mel C and Gleb. And I would have seen that, to me, I thought maybe that, I forget who it was.
Yeah. I thought
Iman could have gone, and Cody and Cheryl could have gone. Those to me were the bottom two.
Yep. I figured that Cheryl would still be in it, but Iman was going, and I was very surprised. She still got a 36, and they were voted off. But I liked her style. I liked her momentum, her movements, and I was hoping she'd be on there a little longer, actually.
But the one that surprised me was Olivia Jade being in the bottom two with a high score like she got. She was I think they got a 36.
Right, I know, and they got saved. So the ones that got saved, the ones that go. It's interesting when you see who goes, and it's not always. We don't always agree with the votes.
No,
So,
not at all. So next week we have no idea. We think it's going to be Halloween, but we actually have another week before Halloween, don't we?
So it'd be a surprise. They're gonna announce something tomorrow, but we'll see what it is. But it's gonna be kind of fun. But I suspect they might even do a little more Halloween this year because that's part of the whole thing in October. It's really a lot of fun, actually.
Now I'm going to spring this on you real quick. What about
Oh.
Dancing with the Lexington Stars for next year? What are we doing with that?
Boy, you talk about exciting. It's gonna be something. So we did it this year as a hybrid, and it was so successful. And it was on ABC. We did it live. It was a hybrid. It was so much fun. And next year is gonna be April 30th. So we moved it up from Mother's Day weekend to a weekend earlier. And we're gonna have about 8 different dancers in it. 6 are already chosen, but I can't let it out of the bag yet. And we're waiting, we're doing 2 more. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It raises money, of course, for surgery on Sunday and the Rotary Foundation. We've been a partner with them. We co-created back 11 years ago, actually. And so next year will technically be the 12th year, and that's going to be very, very exciting. It's raised a lot of money for a great cause, and we'll have a lot of details coming up about that. The board meetings have already started. We've already picked 6 people, and it's going to be a lot of fun, actually.
Going to be fun. And you guys do a great job raising a lot of money for people at surgery on Sunday.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It started with an idea, and the meeting was actually, you can't see it, but it was in this room, and it happened that one day many years ago, and we took off with it. It ran from then on. So we're glad to do it, glad to be a part of it, just help create something. It's really fun. So I hope everybody gets to come. It'll be live at the Kentucky Castle next year, actually.
Oh,
so
wow.
I can tell you where it's going to be. And then, of course, it'll be on TV as well. And a lot of good things are going to happen. So it's going to be a really, really fun event. You definitely don't want to miss it. It will sell out next year.
Week 5 in the books for season 30 of Dancing with the Stars. We'll be back next week with week 6. Try to make this a little faster for you so you don't have to sit for 3 days and figure out what the heck we're talking about. So we just figured we'd do it this way. We'll try and keep it a little shorter for you every time. But do us a favor. Subscribe. Where's my finger? There it is. Subscribe down there, please, because we really want you to see these and we want to keep doing them for you. And put your comments on there and tell your friends about it, because we really appreciate everybody that watches these. And we will see you next week, definitely, on our Dancing with the Stars update.